what am I supposed to do with all these skinny jeans that aren't in style anymore? I guess I'll just wait another decade.
Yesterday, an old geezer with a cane at the post office said to me, "You're a beauty. See, I still got it, yo."
You do. Nobody really says that to me these days, but my dog certainly turns heads, so I'll take it as a compliment.
I found a Walmart DMV where you can buy some bras, eat a hot pretzel, and register your car all in one place.
Wow, have such a good day. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Have Such a Good Day, episode 108.
I hope you're all keeping cool out there, slowing it down a little in this heat.
Yeah.
You, Sarah, I mean, I've got some June gloom up here in July, so I know everyone else is melting out there.
It has been very warm. It's actually not supposed to be all that warm. I mean, still summer, but not like dying warm this week, which is great because I have some outdoor plants that are just so unhappy. There's only so much I can water them. They're just too hot.
You know, I've come to the conclusion that anything I plant from here on out is going to be drought resistant. First of all, we need to save water. Second of all, it's just too much work. I cannot keep up with this yard. It's just like my sister was saying the other day, this feels like a park. Like our property's like a, like some kind of amusement park. Yeah. And I'm like, you're right. It is. Because it's just too much to manage.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, looking around for a little bit more thanks. The squirrels are like, thanks.
Yeah, seriously. This is the show, y'all, if you're tuning in for the first time, where we talk about the absurdity of everyday life. You know, all the little details that make you laugh or piss you off. It's kind of for, your entertainment, and we're all in this together. So
we are.
Welcome.
Yeah. I'm Sarah. That's Heather.
That me.
We're good folks. We like to think of ourselves as nice people.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think we are.
I think we're not. I have my moments, but I would say I am in general a nice person.
I would say so. Yeah, we're all caught up in our little bubbles, but, I think that, we're kind to our neighbors and, we try to do the right thing. We try to save a spider or two.
I do, actually. This is such a weird, I wasn't going to tell this story, but since you mentioned spider, I don't want to kill plants or animals of any kind unless I have to, right? And that includes creepy crawlies. Even though I don't want to share my home. Listen, if it's an army of ants, that's another story. But I had these little gnats that were, I don't know where they came from. They weren't fruit flies. They were just these weird little flitty, stupid fly things in my house. And I'm like, that's annoying. But I noticed that there was a little spider web that was catching them. And so I was like, I could make a big deal out of this and like spray down this whole wall, and do like the Formula 409 thing. And I was like, maybe just let the spiders do their thing. Because all I'm going to do is kill everybody right this second. Or I could let the spiders like eat the other little gnats. And they're all going to have to go eventually. But like, I could give them a little bit of quality of life and look the other way.
That was a moment of kindness, Sarah.
I thought so. Yeah, I did actually. And then I forgot about it. This is like, it's hard to explain. It's in a corner of my, I'm not just like, walking through spider webs in my house. It was easy to avoid, but I did like check in the other day because I had forgotten about it. And like the spiders were still there, but no longer living. So I was like, well, they died on their own terms.
Well, I don't want to go too far into like talking about spiders because I've got a story for you later in the show.
Oh, God.
You're not going to like it.
Yeah, I will not hijack your spider story, I promise.
Please don't.
What has it's been an interesting week, as it always is, Heather.
Oh, yeah, do tell.
Well, so this is kind of a rando one. So I play my VR app, Supernatural. Talk about it all the time. And it is, it's like a workout game. It's not really a game, but that's the easiest way to describe it. And every day there's a new playlist. There's like workout of the day. And it's like various genres. I mean, sometimes it's like a genre that I like more than another one, but I almost always do them all. Even if I'm like, country, like I'm not going to like this. I still end up having a lot of fun. And I also, I don't know, just you end up discovering stuff you wouldn't discover otherwise, or I'm like, oh, that's who sings this. Interesting, because they like have like music licensing, so they make a big deal out of like, who you're listening to and
sure
stuff. And the other day it was like this random mix. I don't even remember what the genre was, but there was a Fisher Spooner song in there.
Oh
And it
yeah.
was, and you remember Fisher
I
Spooner.
love Fisher Spooner.
I did
I saw
too.
them
Like,
live a couple times actually.
did you? I don't think
Yeah.
I ever did. But for anybody unfamiliar, it was apparently there are multiple albums, but I really only knew the one, which was in like the early 2000s, and you would definitely put them in the electroclash genre of music.
Yeah. Little
And
subgenre.
yeah, which is like it's electronic, but it's like very 808 drum machine-ish.
Yeah.
Kind of, I mean, I don't even know how you
Kind of new
describe
wavy or
it.
something. Like it's
Yeah.
got yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Dark.
if Depeche Mode started from
Exactly.
scratch
Yeah.
and had just like more computers.
And did more scratching.
Right, right. And so this particular song in my playlist, I didn't know the song, I had never heard it, but it got me thinking. I was like, huh, so I looked them up and I was like, oh, they do, they did a lot more. They had a lot more going on than I was aware. But there was the one album. The album was called Number One, and that I remember the album cover because it was like close up of like this guy's like he had sand on his face, and he's sticking his tongue out, and it's just very like highly sexualized, and you're like, what is this? And
I
so
love that album.
I know, me too. And I was like, I knew that I liked it, but I like couldn't quite even remember anything about it. So I was in the car. I was going to be in the car for like an hour the other day, and I'm like, oh, I'll just pull it up. So I played it front to back, and I'm like, this album is great. Like it brings me back to a very certain time in my life. And
yeah.
Heather, you and I knew each other then.
Oh, yeah.
But it was a long time ago. It was San Francisco, and there were, I mean,
We're
not
having
that
lots of fun.
everybody was into electroclash. That's
It
lots
was
of
big
people
though in
would-
SF.
It was, and it went with this whole like severe haircuts and a lot of late nights and
Totally.
bars where you go in there and like everyone's like so cool and like kind of like also
Skinny
like
jeans.
there were, I mean, I guess it
Yeah,
was
there were,
maybe
like,
the very
black skinny
beginning
jeans.
of when skinny jeans were a little bit like super super hip still.
Exactly.
And the rest of us, had to catch up. But yeah, so I was kind of like reminiscing, and I'm like, I love this album, it's so great. However, and I think it's because it had just been so long since I heard. There are a few songs on the album that I'm like, I really loved this song. I must have listened to it hundreds of times back in the day, and then I just completely forgot about it. And so that was sort of like, okay, well, I reminisced. Fine, go on with my life. But the album now is this earworm. Days later, it's only been a few days, so maybe, this won't haunt me for the rest of my life, but where I'm like, yeah, now it's like, I mean, I can hear it right now as we're talking. It's like,
Me too.
I'm in prison, Heather. And it's like, and I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, yep, it's that third song on the album. Like, why? Why has it clutched so tightly onto me? Do other people have
That's
to
why they
deal
call it
with
an
this?
earworm.
Yeah, really. And I don't know. I mean, I've complained about this before. It's like, I don't know why my brain does this, but they also say when you just can't get something out of your head, it's like, listen to it again. Like it flushes itself.
Yeah,
I have no
Does that
idea
work?
if that's true. I don't know.
You should try it.
I should, but I'm kind of like, but what if it gets worse? What
It's
if
funny
it
how
imprints a little bit harder?
it's very interesting how what makes an earworm, because I had a song in my head all weekend. It's totally not like electroclash. It's something that my boyfriend has been singing, and it's from a movie theme. It's like the cool wind should blow, da-da-da-da, like something really cheesy but funny. And it's like, why? And seriously, he keeps singing it and it keeps getting stuck back in my head. I mean, I've literally had this song in my head for like a week. It's so annoying. I don't know how to flush it out. If any of you out there have a solution to this
Right.
earworm problem, please email us at hi@havesuchagoodday.com or find a way of getting a hold of
Indeed.
us. There's all kinds of ways these days.
Help us somehow. You could get a hold of us however you want. Just help. Yeah, it's there are bigger problems than having a few songs stuck in my head that I like. I don't
Yeah.
hate these songs. It's just it was very forceful.
Very
And
forceful.
it continues to have a bit of a hold on my
And
brain.
that music too is so it's like dated. It's of a specific era of your life, and so it doesn't really have a lot of significance now other than like nostalgia. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'll try to
Yeah.
listen to that album again when I'm like, riding my bike or something. Maybe it would kind of get
Yeah.
me going, but
It's very, I mean, yeah. I was trying to, when I put it on, I was like, dated is a good way to put it. Because it's hyper. It's like
very
hyper
hyper.
electro energy
Yeah,
where I'm like, it almost like makes me a little nervous now. Like if it was
totally.
playing at a bar, I'd be like, this might be a little much for me. But, at one point I would have been like, yeah, this is perfect energy,
Yeah.
Like everyone's like doing blow in the bathroom. Like not
Yep.
me, but it's like one of those things where
Of
it's like
course
now
not.
I'm like, I'm too old for this.
Oh no, it's so true. And it's funny because I used to like a lot of that music. I don't know if you would call it aggressive, but um, I know people who really have an aversion to aggressive music. Like they cannot listen to anything aggressive. And I sometimes like a little bit of energy with my music, but I agree with you. I think I've toned it down as I've gotten older, and I think that's like a natural progression.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't know, but Sarah, okay, I told you
Yes,
about
Heather.
this weekend. Okay, I've had many things happen this week, but I don't want to get too down a rabbit hole about this, but I have been blacklisted from my favorite podcast. Lots of mysteries abound this week. It's honestly, I am so befuddled by this thing. And it's, really quick, if you guys ever have any advice for us, please don't hesitate. But this podcast that I've been listening to like almost every day, Marketplace by NPR, a lot of you probably listen to it.
Yep.
And I have lots of podcasts. I listen to a fair amount, and I've got everything, in my podcatcher of choice. And for some reason, this particular podcast won't play on any platform. None. Only this one. And I've tested all my other podcasts. Every single episode from this particular podcast will not play. It says there's an error of it being, it's like loading error or check your Wi-Fi, that kind of thing. And it's not only in the app, it's on every single app, every single podcast app, and online, even on the internet. On their website, it doesn't play for me. It has the same error. It is such a mystery. So if any of you have had this experience, please hit us up, hit me up. Hi at havesuchagoodday.com.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm at a loss. I'm truly at a loss.
yeah, I mean, I would normally go through all the obvious stuff
Yeah.
with somebody who was like, what's going on? And we'd figure out the problem. But I'm like, I don't know. I mean,
It's
especially,
so
I think my
strange.
advice to you the other day was like, well, just like unsubscribe and start over kind of thing.
Which I did.
Because I mean, that doesn't usually come up, but it's like, at least, it's like, have you tried unplugging it kind of thing?
Oh
But
yeah. Or
yeah,
blowing in the hole.
it's especially if it's like on the website itself. Yeah, it's like somewhere coded in Marketplace. They're like, Heather Frank may not listen anymore.
That's what it feels like. I really feel blacklisted. So I'm going to reach out to Kai Rizdal and see what's going on. But other than that, I've had some epiphanies. We really continue to learn, don't we, Sarah? I bought a bocce ball set, which I'm really excited about. I'm like all about lawn games because we got lots of lawn here. I figure, instead of planting things that I have to water every day, I will just, I don't know, I will tend to the lawn and get a croquet set. But anyway, we had a fun weekend. We actually raged, kind of. I guess it's, all relative. We went to a small town parade. Like literally, it was like a Norman Rockwell painting. It was easy parking, no traffic, in this kind of adjacent town that's a little bit inland called Blue Lake, which there's actually no lake there. There's a whole origin story about that, but I won't get into it. It was called Annie and Mary Day, and it's a celebration of, there used to be a railroad there, and it was named after these two bookkeepers of those names that were employed by this railroad around like 1907. So it's very old school. And it was kind of a small town America type of thing. And it's, had a little bit of a 60s vibe, and there's a little bit of that, there's like logging history up here, and there's this is very strange. So this town is really unique because, so I kind of painted the picture. There's maybe less than 500 people that live there. It's pretty sleepy, cute though, definitely cute, like lots of neat architecture and cool colors that people have painted their houses, and it's very charming. I have no idea why this place decided to move here or settle here, but there's an international clown school there called Del
My
Arte.
gosh.
I know. It's
Just
crazy.
Did not
And
think you were about to say that.
no, it's so crazy. I mean, it's something you would go see like a famous mime act at, like Marcel Marceau, kind of thing. And there's literally Europeans like go there, they flock from around the world to like go to this school. And they, when I say it's a clown school, it's like you learn how to do like the tightrope, you trapeze, mime, all that kind of stuff, like walk on stilts, that sort of thing. And they have shows. I mean, it's a legit theater.
Yeah.
It's very eclectic. So anyway, the International Clown School was present. There were, people walking on stilts and dancing on stilts, and you stand on the side of the road waving, and all these old dudes in small cars are honking, and you wave, and everyone's smiling, and the fire trucks go by, and they sound their sirens. And I gotta say, I mean, it was so fun, and we got like rockstar parking. It was over in 15 minutes. Just watching people have fun was such a joy. And there was one section of this parade that had a vintage car show. It was just like, whoa, like, you when you're in the city, you stumble upon things like this all the time because there's a lot of art and culture. But in a place like this, I was like, wow, this is like quite an artsy weekend for this small town. It was great because I've been craving like going to a museum or something. And they had these, I mean, awesome cars, like just like really epic. Like, I don't know which one I would have chosen. I was really torn, but there was a white El Camino that I think I would have rolled away with if I could. But yeah, it was the closest thing to going to an art show in the country, but it was really fun. And when I say rage, I say raging for, a small town country get together.
Yeah.
And you can
there
imagine.
Are levels of raging.
There was no electroclash. That's for sure.
Right. Maybe
or
not
cocaine.
the right vibe. Yes. Not for the kids anyway.
No, definitely not.
Maybe at the after party. But yeah, no, I know the feeling. The town I grew up in, Sebastopol's bigger than 500 people, but you consider it a small town, and it had an annual parade, the Apple Blossom Parade. And I say had just because I don't think they've done it. I know they didn't do it in 2020. I don't think it happened this year either. Just COVID, but it, the whole town participates, and you have to you try to drive down where they're gonna go by the day before, so you can tailgate and have like a parking spot, and someone has a truck, and you sit at in the back of someone's truck, or you have like lawn chairs or whatever. Pretty big deal.
Yeah.
I was in the parade a lot when I was younger, like as a cheerleader or whatever I was doing, whatever extracurricular activity, but like everybody participates, and it was always, I mean, when I was in high school, I'm sure we were up to no good kind of stuff, my friends
Sure.
and I running around, but it was like the most fun thing. I mean, to this day, I'm sure I'd have a lot of fun just in a different way, probably how adults enjoy watching kids have fun,
Totally.
and like clapping, like when the people on horses go by type of stuff. I love that.
Me too.
It's small town,
sweet.
wholesome goodness.
Exactly. Wholesome fun.
Wholesome fun. Well, I try not to do too much complaining about property management on this here show, and I won't do that today. But I haven't talked about it at length in some time, and it's just been a wacky couple of weeks, Heather. And I don't know why I ever expect anything different, but because I'm so fascinated with the weirdness of people. I mean, we're all fascinated with other people, but I really enjoy studying the weirdness of people. So part of property management, because you really have to deal with the vibe of a whole family or a whole group, and how they are and what kind of cars they're driving, and what are they taking out of the trunk, without spying on them kind of thing. It's it's like having a new neighbor every 5 seconds, and
exactly.
you just kind of absorb what kind of energy do we got here,
Yeah.
And sometimes it's perfectly fine. There's no bad vibes ever, and there are often times where it's maybe they're asking me a lot of questions, or they're figuring things out, or there was a little issue, but still no bad vibes, just there's some maintenance to do on my part. And then there are sort of the nightmare situations, which happily are infrequent, but where I'm just mad at them, I can't wait till they leave. I tell myself I'll leave a bad review, but I never do, because I don't stay mad that long, and I just want them to go.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this before, but it's like it's very tricky because if they know you're not happy with them before they leave, and it's like sometimes pretty obvious, right? And you leave them a bad review, Airbnb will tell them that you've left them a review, but they can't read it until they also write one. But if they know you were kind of like not happy with them and they see the review, they might write you a bad review before you can read each other's. It's a whole like
That's
cat
the
and mouse thing.
I don't
And
think
so,
it's quite right.
and so I
honestly,
end up
but
just kind of going like, whatever. Let's just pretend they never existed, kind of thing. I've done that with a few groups where I'm like, they deserved a kind of a bad review,
Yeah.
for these 5 reasons. But I'm just gonna like go on with my life. And I was talking to a friend over the weekend who also he and his wife, they have like a summer house, but they also rent it on Airbnb quite a bit. And they're there a lot, but they rent it out a lot. And, I'm telling one of my nightmare stories and he's like, no, you got to leave a bad review, because they have to know for next time, like what if they stay at our house next? Like, well, I don't want to rent to them because of your helpful negative review. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. But like, I'm also like, I don't know. It is sort of bad mojo in the world.
yeah, I hear
And
you.
I just kind of, I just try to, I don't want to spread too much bad mojo. I'd rather
No,
just
I feel the same
keep
way.
it pushing.
Well, it's funny. I had a couple, or they're still here. They've been here for 5 nights, but I had a similar situation this weekend where for the last couple days we've been kind of wondering where the heck they've been. There's been this very strange vibe at this particular cabin this whole week because they had a wedding up here and they had a wedding party come to the cabin on our property, which is next to our house, that they didn't tell us about. So there were like 10 cars trying to find parking on our driveway. It was kind of weird. It was like she didn't give me a heads up that they were going to have like a pre-wedding prance kind of thing at the cabin. And it was really busy. And that's definitely something that I want to write a bad review about. And they also brought a pet, which we have a strict no pet policy. And they know that. I mean, it's clearly stated like everywhere
Right.
that we don't have pets, and they were definitely hiding the pet. It was like one of those things. So they do merit like a semi bad review, and their communication's been poor, and they've been really demanding. And one of their guests that showed up was so rude to my boyfriend, like really rude. Like my boyfriend is actually like a really friendly guy, and he didn't say anything that was like, would have set her off. She was just rude. And we're just like, what is going on here? And then the last 2 days, their car hasn't been there, but the dog was there. And so we keep kind of poking our heads over there, like, what is going on? They asked about this hiking trail, like maybe they fell off the cliff. Like
Gosh.
we really were last night when we went to bed. We were like, their car hasn't been there for 2 days, and they're supposed to check out today. And we were kind of starting to worry, like, what
Yeah.
would happen if they just never checked out and all their luggage is still in there, and their dog, and it's like, how would you?
I mean, how do you leave a dog for 2 days?
Well, I don't know if
That-
it was a full 2 days, but like they were
yeah,
kind
like
of
who knows? Maybe they were like sneaking back, but still very strange.
very strange. There's been a very like bizarre vibe here this weekend with them, and I don't really want them back. They've definitely bent the rules a lot. So yeah, I mean, I have that experience. I mean, more often lately, I think because it's the summer. Summer is always a little crazy. People are a little crazy. And
Yeah.
man, it's been a handful for me lately, that whole Airbnb management. But yeah,
Yeah, it's always an adventure.
is.
The folks who are here now, they seem like perfectly nice people, but okay, if I could complain just a little, it's when someone checks in, they don't always like notice this detail, but you're supposed to say how many adults and how many children, or maybe it's just 10 adults, or maybe it's 2 adults and 4 kids, or whatever. And like, because that's like, how many heads are staying, in this house that, I'm under control over. And then like, if there's an infant, like it counts differently, whatever. But you just get a sense, right? You tell them how many bedrooms there are, in the listing. You figure that, okay, this configuration is working for these people. And then they have a limit. Like they can't like be like, oh, 25 of us are going to stay. It'd be like, well, I mean, you cannot comfortably do that. It's just that you can't do it. You can try, but it's no one's going to be comfortable, and it's actually against the rules. So that's all sort of just like it's pretty cut and dry. I don't have to explain it over and over. And I also do not care what your configuration is once you're in. And I don't care if you have people come over and like, there's a big pool here. Everybody likes the pool. You know, yeah, it's summertime. It's like, this is like, I mean, a party house is not, you know, that is not what I want people to think of it as, because that sort of indicates that like they're going to trash it. But it is a place where people have like, yeah, they do barbecues and the kids are screaming and jumping in the pool all day and there's music playing. It's like, you know, festive. That's all fine. The one thing, just the one thing that I think is not only something I ask for, you know, pretty directly, but I just can't imagine not following the rule is blocking my car in. So yeah, I say to people that, and Heather, you've been here, like the driveway's big. There's plenty of room for cars, but you have to park a certain way or like you're going to block someone in. And that's like not only just like super rude, but like dangerous, you know? Can't block my car in. No. And I don't even like it when people block each other in, you know, where they're like, oh, I mean, whatever, like we'll just like work it out because like so-and-so is leaving first kind of thing. But I'm like, it just makes me nervous. Like, what if there was an emergency and we all have to get out of here? It gets weird, you know? There's only so much you can turn around before you're like kind of stuck in there. So, you know, I say, here's, you know, car maximum. Here's some spillover parking that like no one has ever needed, but you know, we have it. Or, you know, you can park on the road, but like, it's sort of like, you know, look at the street signs because I'm not responsible if like, you know, you get towed away or whatever. There's not like that much plentiful parking on these like country roads, but you know, you have options, but just like don't get too crazy in the driveway itself. And people just do, not everybody, but the folks that were here, sure enough, they show up and I'm like, okay, there's one car, there's two cars, there's three cars. Oh, here comes a fourth. Oh God, now it's going to get weird. And like 4 cars can like kind of make it work, but they're going to have to do some like fancy parallel parking.
You have a bit of a Tetris driveway.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm pretty good about like, as long as you don't block me, I can back out. Prefer not to, but I can do it. But not if you're blocking me. I mean, you can't, I can't drive through a mountain. So I say to them, you know, as I see like that car is like not parking behind me temporarily, like they have now gotten out of the car. Yeah, they're just chilling, you know, it's where I was like, hi, everybody. Yeah, so you like can't block me, you know, starts out real nice. And the answer that I got was, oh, we're so sorry. Yeah, we're, not all these cars are going to be here for the whole time that, you know, we're staying here. Where I'm like, yeah, you're staying here for a week. I mean, it's clearly that would not be possible. But yeah, we'll move that car in like an hour. Is that cool? And I was like, no, it's not. And the thing is like, that's where I get into my like little rage mode. Because at the time, I really didn't need to leave in the next hour. But I was like so annoyed that someone was trying to dictate, like, what? You don't know me. What if I really had to like go to the doctor? Or like I felt
People
like
don't
leaving.
think about that.
Yeah. And it's like, no, you can't, you just can't, you can't do it. No. If it were on a street and like I blocked you in a shopping center, it would be like, oh my God, yeah, like call the police or, you know, whatever. Like people need to be able to use their own wheels. So it's happened a couple of times now, actually.
Yeah, it's rough, man. And I totally get the review thing because I'm in that boat today. I have to figure out how I'm going to write this review. And it's very possible that they're going to write, because, you know, we asked some questions about like all these people parking. Like she never said anything about all these people showing up. So they may get ahead of me on that, even though we were really nice about it. But yeah, it's really tricky. It's not
well, and you already know that at least one person was like rude to you guys. So it's like they're capable of being rude again.
Yes, exactly.
You know?
Oh God, Mondays, telling you.
Oh my gosh, I know. It is so, and really I bring up the, you know, the Airbnb and parking thing and fascination with people only because like I'm not like that upset about any of this, but I sometimes just sit there and go like, you just never know how someone's going to react. And it's often like, I mean, they're not like a complete monster, but it's like, how was that your choice?
Yeah.
How was it your choice to react that way? Like that is not the answer I was looking for.
The
sir or madam.
ongoing challenges of sharing a planet with other humans, Sarah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's really, that's what it is. And yeah, everybody sort of has their different thoughts on things and they were raised differently. And so, yeah, there's going to be a lot of clashing. And we all have to try to figure out how to get along.
I agree. Yeah. Maybe by playing some electroclash.
Yeah, there you go.
You know,
Get
we could just
everyone
have an
starting to
aggressive dance
rage.
party. Just rage at the small town parade.
That actually sounds kind of fun.
Yeah.
I only do that in my dreams these days. It's funny. I mean, we're pummeled with bad news and threats to humanity every day. Electroclash and crazy Airbnb guests and global warming,
Oh, God. global
environmental
warming.
disaster. I mean, there's a lot of things, especially now, that can wipe humanity out, artificial intelligence even. And this is where I bring back spiders because and I know you and I feel the same way. We both have arachnophobia. I mean, like legit arachnophobia. And mine, I'm friendly to critters and I don't mind a lot of spiders that are kind of friendlier looking, like the daddy long legs. I don't mind so much. They always kind of tuck away in the corner and they don't really bother you. I never really see them like climbing on me. The ones I don't like are with the hard exoskeletons.
Oh, yeah, no.
The shiny
Ugh.
ones, the black ones. I can't. I just can't with those. But for some reason, everybody's been telling me these crazy horror stories about spiders. So please, in the future, I don't want to hear about them. But even though I'm going to tell you one right now, I'm such a hypocrite.
If I have to suffer, you will too.
Yeah, exactly. I'm bringing you along for the ride. So yeah, like my friend Avril in Los Angeles was telling me about some story. She's a bud and she was holding out on us and just told us a story from like 2 years ago where she got bit. And, Los Angeles does have a lot of spiders. I mean, it's a warm climate and there's a lot of spiders that actually bite. And I always heard stories about there being a lot of like brown recluses like on the telephone poles in Los Angeles in particular. And I do remember like walking down like these narrow streets in LA and just being like, oh God, the telephone pole, and just being like creeped out.
There might be a brown recluse on that pole.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean, once you have that in your mind, you are kind of weirded out by that.
Oh yeah, that's the thing, is like ignorance is bliss, I'm telling you. And so she's telling me this story about this bite that she got. She didn't know what it was, and it blew up to like the size of a baseball on her back, and then she
Yikes.
and it was like all pussy and gross, and like it ended up leaving a hole in her back, like all this crazy stuff where I'm like, oh my God, I'm like seriously scarred for life. And so because I've been like, well, I'm in the country, so like there are a lot of spiders, but there aren't really. I've been learning through kind of people who've lived here for a long time. It's like, well, I moved up here because a lot of people have moved up here from Southern California. It's strange, but there are a lot of them have said, yeah, there's no real poisonous spiders up here, and I like that. So I like living in a place that doesn't have kind of scary spiders. So I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. But we do have a lot of spiders. We're in the country. And I was thinking, well, but all these stories are coming from LA. And, because I was thinking, oh, I'm better off in Los Angeles, in terms of spiders. But no, I don't think I am. And then unfortunately, I Googled it to find out, because I was like, okay, well, is there anywhere in the world that we could live where there's no spiders? Because I want to move there. So note to self, don't Google things ever, especially when it comes to stuff like this or health things, or you have a rash, don't Google it. I found out that apparently you are never more than 10 feet away from a spider, meaning one is likely staring at you right now, Sarah, like from the corner of your room. And
I'm kind of looking around because here in my studio, like I see spiders occasionally,
Oh, yeah.
like they drop from the ceiling. So I'm like, where are you?
Totally. And so like the other day I went into we have a berry garden and it needs to be weeded. It's just like really overgrown. And for some reason, there's a particular spider that really likes raspberries, and our raspberries are blooming right now. And I've been wearing a lot of, mostly this summer, I wear like low top Converse because they're just light and they're easy to throw on. And I guess I should be wearing boots every time I go outside, because one of those spiders ended up in my shoe and bit me on, it was like not a bad bite. It just kind of stung me on the bottom of my foot. Like, I don't even know how it survived on the bottom of my foot. I'm like walking. I mean, I have no idea. Anyway, it's just been one of those weekends where I've been thinking about spiders a lot. And, I'm, like I said, my general rule is if they stay tucked away in the corner and they're kind of like not super scary looking, they don't have that hard exoskeleton, and they're not near my couch or my pillow or my bed, that's fine. But if they're near me and they're scary looking, I'm sorry, they die. Or I just have my boyfriend throw them outside, but I'm not going to go near them. But I went into this rabbit hole. As I said, I Googled this. I shouldn't have done it. I learned my lesson. But apparently the world's spiders, like the collective spider population, consumes somewhere between 400 million and 800 million tons of prey in any given year. So essentially, and just all the calculations, this is like, these scientists like did all this research, and they kind of came to the conclusion, comparing how much meat we eat and that kind of thing, that essentially that they would still be hungry if they ate all of us. So I just want to throw it out there that there are a lot of things that could really wipe out the human population.
Jeez, Heather. I'm like, okay, like, does the story like end up with like a cool, fun twist?
Actually, it does. I still think there's some goodness that comes out of spiders. Listen, Peter Parker got stung by a spider, bit by a spider, and he became a superhero.
I don't know if any spiders sting. I think
No,
they all
it was bite. Yeah, they bite. You're right.
Which is I don't know. I mean, stinging is gross too, but it just imagining a little spider mouth being like, I gotcha. It's like, why would you do that, spider? Why? No. I may have chilled on spiders a little more than you. I don't think about spiders all that often. And there are spiders that I find living in my home and I'm just like, whatever. But none of them are like really scary.
Yeah.
If it was a certain size, or it just, I don't know, there was something a little bit menacing, I'd have to work something out, where I wasn't like afraid to go to sleep. But yeah, I got a spider bite, which I can always tell. And it wasn't, it wasn't anything major. It was on my leg. Who even knows where, when it happened, I didn't even realize it until later, but just the way it heals, it's like not a mosquito, not a flea bite.
It's kind of wider.
It's just a spider bite. Yeah. And I still have like a tiny scar. It'll go away eventually, but a couple weeks into it, where I was like, man, like what was
still
that?
Itching.
Yeah. Like, and it just looked, it wasn't like that gross or anything. It was really just red more than anything. But I'm like, it's just so weird that happened. And now, I've got this like mark that I'm constantly reminded that a spider bit me every time I look down. For the foreseeable future. It's like, what? Like, who got anything out of that? You know?
And then the thing is like, I'm sorry that I told this story to some of you out there. You might be more arachnophobic than I am. And I apologize, but I feel like when I bring other people along into my fears, I feel less afraid.
Less alone. Yeah.
So yes, less alone.
Let's all,
we're in this
power
together.
and fear together.
Yeah, but I've never, I don't know if you do this, Sarah, but I never did this in LA, but maybe I should have. But I check my shoes every time I put them on now. I make sure there's nothing in them because that happens. They crawl into shoes. They like dark, sweaty places. So
I don't always do that, and I don't know why I don't, because I know that I totally agree with you there. And
now you're screwed. You're going to do it all the time.
I feel like I've told this story before. I don't know. I told somebody, but like there was a resort in Mexico I went to years ago, and it was like an eco resort, so it was very open. So it was like you're sleeping in this like really cool hotel kind of thing, but like it's open to the elements. And we like all the people, like when you first get there, like you go through this like like meet and greet and dealing with scorpions, because they're just scorpions that are in the jungle in that area. It's kind of near Puerto Vallarta. And it wasn't like, oh my God, there's going to be scorpions all over you. But like, always checking shoes, always shaking out shoes, always, kind of looking under any kind of corner type thing, because a scorpion bite can be a really big deal. And, nothing bad. I never saw one, but I was very diligent about it. And for years after that, I was just like, ugh, it would still give me the creepies if I just thought of a scorpion like hiding in a shoe, like
oh God,
when I was like comfortably back home and everything. But I don't. I slip on my slippers, which I leave at the side of the bed when I get into bed at night. I put them on with my naked feet in the morning. It's like there could be all sorts of things in there. I don't know why I don't check.
Well, I think that's good. Like I said, don't get all crazy about it. I mean, I don't know. The ignorance is bliss thing is so true. I think I need to I don't want to encourage, I want you guys to email us, and I don't want to encourage you to send in spider horror stories. But if you have to, I will read and listen. Or jump into Discord and talk to us real time. That's even more fun. But we always love an email, hi@havesuchagoodday.com. But just really think about it before you send us a scary spider story. But if you have to, we'll be okay with it.
It's like we want them, but like
But
don't
we don't
make
want
it
them.
too crazy. Don't upset us, but please do email us. I don't know.
Or
We're
email
just,
us about
just a couple of
anything.
crazy kids today.
Crazy kids. I'm
Yeah,
telling
you please do email us. We always love to know, who's listening and if anything resonated with you or you have questions about anything that we talked about. And also in between shows, if you are a patron, patreon.com/have such a good day is where you can find out more about being a patron if you're not already. Those of you who are patrons, thank you so much. Couldn't do this without you. And many of you are also chatting with us in our Discord, which is super fun, and I feel like I get to know everybody a little bit more each week, and that is anything at the $5 or up Patreon level. So thank you everybody who supports us, and if you're not, maybe consider supporting us directly on Patreon.
Yeah, I mean, we've got friends all around the world, Sarah. It's super fun. I
true.
love how everybody is from a different place. Like, we really do have a wide variety of locations, and it's so cool. And I'd be curious to know where you guys heard about the show. I'm just wondering, like, is it word of mouth? Did you stumble upon it on iTunes or your podcast platform of choice? Let us know.
Yes.
Hi at havesuchagoodday.com. For the millionth time, we're going to burn it in your brain.
Yeah, you better send that email, bucko.
We actually did get an email from Steve. It was really cute. His subject line was like random thoughts. So he says, I have these replies floating around in my head to various episodes of the last several months. I listen to the podcast when I'm out on walks or hikes and usually forget to reply when I get home. Maybe it's more fun, completely out of context. Regarding you can leave your hat on, this actually stimulated a lot of conversation. This is way back when, it was about a photo of Sarah and I that we both were wearing hats or something like that. He said, I think the song is about stripping or at least sexy time, though the song was around long before. I mostly know it from the Full Monty soundtrack. And then,
Oh, yeah.
this is my favorite regarding carob, which Sarah went on a carob rant. I guess it was last week or the week before. I think of it as sad chocolate. Long ago, there was a healthy-ish restaurant chain called The Good Earth. I totally know that place, Steve. And I was frustrated that their cookies and desserts would use carob instead of chocolate. That's so funny. There was a place, I wonder if it's the same one in Los Gatos, California, which is an hour south of San Francisco, where I grew up.
It's
The Good
where,
Earth.
That's what Steve's talking about.
That's
I used
so
to go
funny.
to the one in Los Gatos all the time.
Yeah.
When we were visiting.
I don't think
my
it's there
grandma and
anymore,
stuff.
but
I'm not sure that there are any Good Earths. There maybe there's certainly. They used to be around.
Yeah.
Like anytime you're on a road trip, like there was going to be a Good Earth that maybe you would stop at.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like you saw them around enough, and it was like a decent option. I always liked it there.
I remember they had a pretty good nut burger.
They had
with sprouts or something.
They had this like they would give you this. It was like a multi-grain like bread in a little bread basket. Like
I remember
just
that
for everybody. Like when you would first get there, or maybe there were rolls. Yeah, it was like a multi-grain roll, and I
Yep.
always really liked them.
With the butter.
You had the pat of butter. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, the Good Earth.
I really miss the days of a bread basket. I notice going to restaurants these days, before it was like such a liberal thing. It's like, here's a huge basket of yummy warm bread. And nowadays you have to like ask for it and you have to pay for it. It's like usually an extra, which I miss those days, just the free bread. I don't know.
I guess you're right. I guess
Yeah.
maybe I think also a lot of folks are like carb conscious.
That's
right?
true.
So they're like not
They don't
going to
wanna
eat the
waste
bread
it.
anyway. And probably enough restaurants were sort of like, I mean, if you're a certain restaurant, like
That's a good point.
It might be something on the menu, but maybe
Might
it's
be a
just
gluten thing,
It's
too.
like and just sort of like, we're ending up wasting all this bread.
That's a good point.
That people
That's a
aren't
good
taking
point.
advantage of.
Well, it's also
definitely a bread person. Like you put it in front of me, I'm gonna eat the bread.
bread and butter, best thing ever. But same with water. I mean, now there's going to be restrictions, or there are restrictions in restaurants. In fact, I went to a restaurant this weekend and we had to ask for, they usually put out like a pitcher of water, and you have to ask for it now because of the drought. So, I mean, I get that. I understand why there would be restrictions, but the bread thing, very interesting. If you guys have any insight on this fascinating story, please email us at havesuchagoodday.com.
And Steve, thank you for your thoughts. It's okay if it's random. You can leave
We
your
love
hat
random.
on being a song about stripping or
We're the
otherwise
queens of random.
disrobing. Yeah, it makes sense. The Full Monty was a great movie. I should watch that again someday. And yeah, I don't, as I was telling y'all, I'm not I'm not anti-carob. I think carob has a place.
It's
It's soaking
apples
in
and
some of my
oranges.
overnight oats upstairs right now. And I like it. It can be, yeah. It's just you have to know what you're dealing with
You know,
carob.
there's times for everything. You know, everything has its place.
That's right. Everything in its right place.
And you can't compare it to chocolate. That's the thing. It's like comparing apples and oranges. You just can't do it.
Yeah, they don't even, yeah, there's nothing similar about them besides the fact that the powder that might be an ingredient in a baked good or whatever looks kind of similar. But
Exactly.
I mean, you could say that about like, oh, is chocolate the same as like ground coffee? No. No, indeed it isn't. But you can kind of do the two together and get crazy if you want.
You can, especially in Sarah's kitchen.
Yeah. I put cinnamon in my coffee. No chocolate. Chocolate is too desserty for me when I'm in in a coffee mood in the morning.
Yeah,
But
me too.
I do put cinnamon in my coffee, like not every day, but I do pretty
I
regularly.
have a great title for your cookbook, Sarah. The Crazy Kitchen with Sarah Lane.
kind of feel like that probably already exists somewhere.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So, like, can you imagine in the history of the world, no one has ever called their cookbook the Crazy Kitchen? I'm just the first one. Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's
no,
so
that's
crazy.
not possible.
Yeah,
It's just
and it could be
so
like
crazy.
with a K.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God.
Just
Please don't do that.
So cute.
Well, it's really funny. We're having a lot of pancakes these days. This is kind of a new thing. Like I love pancakes, but like we didn't have a grill, and my boyfriend just got an iron skillet thingy, and he's been making pancakes like once or twice a week. And don't get me wrong, I love a good pancake, any kind of pancake really. And we've got fresh blueberries. It's just wonderful. But every time it's like it's hard for me to eat that kind of thing in the morning because it's kind of heavy, kind of sweet. And I'm kind of like, ugh, the rest of the day. And I don't really want to eat lunch. And it's like I almost just want a pancake for dessert as just like one pancake, like I don't know about you, but it's hard for me to eat sweets in the morning. It kind of changes my metabolism or something. But yeah, it's a real quandary. I don't know what to do because I love them and I just don't know what time of day to eat them.
I have the same issue. I love pancakes. Very, very much a pancake person. Also, something you can have a lot of fun with, like with different kinds of flour and stuff like that. Like I love making blueberry buckwheat pancakes, but they're heavy. And yeah, it's like it's not often that I go through the trouble of the pancake batter like for one pancake. So I end up eating like a stack of pancakes, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, gut bomb, why did I do that?
Yeah.
And then I don't eat pancakes for a while because I'm like, I remember how I felt that day, but I really like
Exactly.
them. I guess it's if you, or it's like baking cookies. Like you're not baking one cookie, you're baking a bunch of them. Are you going to overeat on the cookies and be like, why did I
Yes.
do this? Same
For
idea.
sure, 100%.
So in my house, the answer is yes.
Yes.
But yeah, pancakes, they're lovely, but
They
I don't
really
eat
are.
them very often anymore.
See? Random. We should just rename our show to Randomness
random
with Two
today.
Lovely Ladies. Spiders, pancakes, carob,
Don't email us
parades.
about spiders, but do.
International Clown Schools. All right. Well, I think I need to go make another coffee.
I think I need to stop drinking coffee. I'm a little overcaffeinated. In the hour it took us to get through the show, I was like,
Well, I need to jog all these spider webs out of my brain. Oh, I hope spiders don't live in our brains. That would just be...
Heather, come on. All right. All right. Wait, we're wrapping up the shows. We've loved being weird.
Every
for you.
minute of it.
We've loved every minute. We'll do it again next week. It'll be episode 109.
Woo!
But until then, see some of you on Discord. Hopefully, we'll have some new Discorders. That would be great. And we hope you have such a good day and a great week.
That's right. I'll remain Heather this time.
And I will stay Sarah.
Bye.
Goodbye.